So, ladies and gentlemen, you may actually remember last October we covered the story of Daisy Coleman. Daisy, you may remember, was a cheerleader. She was a straight A student. And about 2 years ago, when she was 14 years old, she's, I think, 16 now, but when she was 14, she was allegedly raped in the town of Maryville, Missouri, by a 17-year-old football player. Now, after the alleged rape, she was dumped by the football player unconscious on her porch, wearing only a t-shirt and sweatpants in the middle of the night in the winter in below freezing weather. She very easily could have frozen to death. Her mother actually discovered her the next morning, in the early morning, when she heard scratching on the door. She actually thought it was her dog trying to get back in, but it turns out it was her daughter out in the freezing cold who was left overnight, again in sub freezing temperature. Her hair was apparently frozen solid, and the case, sadly, as we talked about before, took a sadly and tragically familiar turn, as many of these sexual assault cases do, with cover-ups, with a lot of the town rallying around the alleged rapist. Daisy was attacked at school. She was attacked online. People calling her a slut, saying she was asking for it. Daisy's brother was attacked. He was an athlete at the school as well, and was booed at a wrestling match by his own fellow students. Her mother was fired from her job because her boss thought the town couldn't handle her being at this. She was a vet assistant and couldn't handle having her at the practice and stuff like that. And then like a lot of these cases where this horrible thing happens, the charges against the alleged rapist were dropped. The football player, alleged rapist, his grandfather was a retired state trooper and a Missouri state senator, so there's some question about possible collusion and corruption there. But again, it's something that happens again and again and again all over this country, be it in Steubenville, in Maryville, Missouri, in Florida. This is something that happens a lot. And, most of these cases don't get any coverage at all, don't get reported at all. But this is something that happens all the time here in our country. The family, seeking to get away from the constant harassment that they were receiving, the abuse they were receiving, eventually moved about 45 minutes away to another town in Missouri. But before they could actually sell their home where they were living in Maryville, their home was actually burnt to the ground. So it sounds like, the town of Maryville is a very classy town, harassing a victim out of the town, harassing the family out of the town, burning the house to the ground. In the time following that, Daisy reportedly attempted to kill herself. But then what happened was, in October, the story got out. The Kansas City Star published an in-depth, and if you haven't read it, you should read the article. The Kansas City Star, an in-depth article on the whole scene, about how not only the rape, but the harassment that followed it. Many news outlets picked it up. We covered it. In October, Daisy and her mother gave a lot of interviews. She wrote a really heart-wrenching and brave piece on XO Jane, talking about the whole entire thing. They did it to try to draw attention to it. They tried to, try to get this reversed, to actually draw attention to the crime, draw attention to the travesty of justice that happened in this small town in Missouri. Now, sadly, between October and now, no real justice has been done to this point. We're going to talk about that a little more in a minute, but nothing has gone on. And even more sadly and even more tragically, a report came out this week that this last weekend, Daisy attempted to kill herself again. This is apparently the third time she's tried to do it. This time she tried to kill herself with pills. She OD'd, and apparently at this point, reportedly, she's in stable condition, but the doctors are not sure if she suffered any permanent brain damage due to the suicide attempt. And, okay, look, we don't know. We don't know exactly why she tried to kill herself. The only person who knows exactly why she tried to kill herself is Daisy herself. No one else is in her head. No one else knows exactly why. There are plenty of good guesses. And her mother actually gave an interview to the Daily Mail just recently, which may actually give us some insight to why Daisy actually did it. Reading from the Daily Mail, quote, "On Friday night, Daisy briefly attended a party with a friend and arrived home to a stream of abuse on her Facebook page from two girls who she previously counted as friends. I had let her go to a party with a friend. She was there for an hour and a half, and then she came home and saw Facebook. One girl decided to write something saying, 'You're a fake and a phony. You wanted it, and you're a slut,' because she went to a party," Dr. Coleman told the Mail Online. Another girl allegedly chimed in, calling Daisy a hypocrite for going to the party, end quote. Then, 2 days after that, on Sunday, is when Daisy tried to kill herself again. So, and look, again, only Daisy knows what was going through her head when she tried to do this, when she tried to take her own life. But, dear God, this poor kid, not only did she get raped and then have her school turn on her town turn on her, not just her, but her family and her mother, losing her job. But again, according to some of these sick defenders of the alleged rapist, according to them, Daisy is apparently never allowed to step outside her home ever again for the rest of her life. Because she was raped, she's never allowed to ever go to a party ever again. And if she goes out, she's a hypocrite. If she goes out, she's a slut. How dare they say to her, they say to this victim, how dare you go out? How dare you try to relieve a little bit of the stress? How dare you try to have fun in your life? How dare you try to have any semblance of a normal life? How dare you? How dare you not live the rest of your life hiding in the dark, ashamed to go out? How dare you not sit in the corner and think about this? How dare you try to have a life? How dare you try to have fun? Don't you know if you go to a party, Daisy, don't you know if you go to a party, you're just asking to be raped? That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying to her. If you ever have a drink, you're asking to be raped. If you step outside, you're asking to be raped. That's what these monsters are saying to her. They're saying that she's a slut and she's a hypocrite for daring step outside her doorstep. What in the hell is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? Another person on Daisy's Facebook page said, quote, she wrote, quote, "No one has ever gotten this much attention for being raped," end quote. Someone wrote that. A human being wrote that. A human being wrote that to a kid. A child, a 16-year-old child. Yeah, right. This person thinks this child is doing this for attention. She's doing this because it's so much fun. Going through all this is a blast. Getting raped is a hoot. Trying to kill yourself is the most fun anyone can ever have. That's what this sick bastard is thinking. They think all this has had some type of positive effect on Daisy's life, that she's doing it for attention. This same person went on to write, quote, "Not just that, I'm smart enough not to put myself in those situations," end quote. A human being wrote that. An actual human being wrote those words to a 16-year-old girl, saying, Daisy, if you have a drink, or any ladies, if you have a drink, if you go to a party, ladies, you're stupid and you're asking to be raped like an idiot. Because if you get raped, you're dumb. You're an idiot for putting yourself in any situation that you could be raped. Not that the rapists are at fault. It's you, the victim, who are at fault. And you guys all know this. I'm not telling you something you guys don't know. That attitude is rape culture. That attitude is flat out rape culture. Blaming the victim and not the perpetrator. Blaming the victim and not the rapist is rape culture. And this poor kid, this is the third time that this poor child has tried to kill herself. And I can't even begin to imagine what this kid has gone through. Not only the attack herself, but then just the attack is enough to make you want to kill yourself. But then having to deal with these bloody monsters. trying to shame her for being attacked, trying to shame her for that. How can anybody live with that? How do these people even exist? Again, I don't get it. I don't get how these monsters wake up every day. I don't get it. I don't understand that how they're even on this planet. I don't get it. I don't get what goes through their hearts. And there's supposedly a video of the alleged rape that was supposedly deleted. A group from the hacktivist group, Anonymous, specific group of it, Maryville, have said they've tried to find the video, but apparently haven't been able to. Daisy's mother has reached out to them, and supposedly they're trying, but they haven't been able to get anything out of this. It was deleted supposedly, and now there is a new district attorney who's apparently looking at the case now, but Daisy's mother seems to have little hope in anything actually coming from it, and why should she? After everything that's happened, why should Daisy or her mother have any hope that justice will be done? And to me, what makes this even worse and what makes this even more tragic, and this is plenty tragic enough. There's more than enough tragedy for anything here. What makes this even more tragic is that what about the next young kid who gets raped? What about them? What about the next young girl who right now is seeing how Daisy is getting treated by her friends and her town and strangers on the internet? What about the kid who sees how Daisy's family's getting treated, how Daisy's mom got fired from her job? What about that? Not just the justice system, not just the fact that there's been no actual justice for her, but how the entire town has reacted. How the town and these vicious bloody ghouls in person and on the internet. And what this is rape culture perpetuating itself. It perpetuates itself and it continues to perpetuate itself. And, I don't have an answer here. I wish I did, but it's up for all of us to figure out a way to stop that perpetuation. We'll be right back.